Hello and welcome to Beyond the Benefits with Savoy Associates. My name is Chris Vanderwolk and I am the Chief Compliance Officer here at Savoy. And today I have a special guest from sunny South Florida. Ruby is with us. Ruby, how are you today?
I'm doing great.
Would you mind introducing yourself, what you do here at Savoy?
So I'm Ruby. Like you said, I work in business development in Florida. My role is to help brokers in my area develop their business, grow their business. We find out what gaps they're having in their business that we can fill in, and we go from there.
So how long have you been in the industry? How'd you get here?
So it's been 24 years. I ended up in insurance by accident. I come from the retail side, HR and recruiting.
I think a lot of us get here by accident.
Right? Yeah, I didn't exactly grow up thinking I was going to end up in the insurance or benefits industry, right? So I went from working in retail for limited brands. I worked for them for a long time.
Limited brands being limited clothes, things
Right,
like that.
but prior to what they are now, so it used to be Structure, The Limited, Victoria's Secrets, even Henry Bendel was part of them as well.
I'm a kid who came of age in the 90s, so I remember all those stores in the mall when I was walking around aimlessly as a teenager.
Absolutely. So we all loved back in the day during the CD era.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody had a CD and the Walkman. So I had a recruiter get in touch with me from a global insurance carrier, Allianz Life.
Mm-hmm.
And I went for the interview. It was kind of like a boiler room type of setting because I had to assist not only the marketers, but also the broker dealer reps. And, they thought I had the skin to deal with them. It was, I guess, a good time for me to make a change. And here I am.
Good for you. So now you're on the wholesale side with us, and you mentioned solving brokers' problems. Twofold question. What keeps you motivated, and what's your favorite part working here at Savoy Associates?
So what drives me, which is my motivation, is knowing that every day I get to wake up and be able to help someone find solutions. And, when it comes to helping brokers, it's not just the broker that you're solving problems for, but their clients as well. And then their clients trickle down to their employees and their families. So it really is a lot of people that you're helping every day when you wake up and go to work. So for me, that's just priceless. And the second question was here at Savoy.
What's your favorite thing here at Savoy?
The people. Savoy is just an outstanding organization. The transparency, the communication. We're the best GA. Everything we do here, if I'm a broker, which I'm not planning on going back to the broker world, but if I'm a broker ever again, I want Savoy to be my GA because they really care about their people, their brokers. And you could see how that's transferred from the people that work for the company to the broker, etc. So definitely the mission, also the message that we carry out, it's just wonderful. It's really about doing what's best in an ethical manner and, keep ourselves updated learning through things like Savoy Academy.
Yeah, I think I enjoy the same. It's think like a broker. What are their challenges? What are their headaches? What's driving them crazy right now? How do we help them solve that? And if we can figure out how to solve more of those problems, it makes us better. And everybody I talk to throughout the company has the same focus: is how do we fix this problem for this other person?
Right. So when your broker is calling you for things more than just insurance and benefits, when they're asking you about who your mechanic is, then you have a solid relationship when they're able to open up like that. And with everything here at Savoy, I've been able to build on those relationships with brokers.
So you and I share a very common bond in that we have several things in common, but we both are super involved in NABIP. I see you
Yes.
smiling. So the people that are listening, they can't see Ruby's smile. Ruby's smile is absolutely contagious. But we're both very involved in NABIP. Can you talk a little bit about the organization, what it's done for you, what it's meant for you, what you do to give back?
So I am currently Miami-Dade's chapter president. And what made me want to get more involved is being able to create a more diverse culture and also initiate NABIP en Espanol, which is going bilingual. As you know, in South Florida, we have a huge Hispanic population. A lot of them have been in the United States less than 20 years. Many of them are in our industry. And although they may know English and understand it, for them, learning things and to be able to grasp even laws and CE classes and that type of stuff that we do, some of the trainings we provide, they prefer all of that in Spanish because they want to be able to go back to their communities and not have to worry about translating and am I saying this right? Am I correct about this? So with the support of the board at our local NABIP, we've been able to even get in touch with our Florida representatives and even on a national basis to baby steps begin to launch NABIP in Espanol in some areas.
That's huge. As a non-native Spanish speaker, I can tell you when I go do enrollment meetings in Spanish, I'm nervous that I'm saying the wrong thing because whatever I'm saying has so much weight to it that if I, thankfully, people see me and they recognize, okay, he learned Spanish, he didn't grow up speaking it. We'll give him a break and we'll work through this with him. But it's stressful, and I can imagine it's just the same going the other way, going from Spanish native to English non-native. And the immigrant story in the United States is that immigrants come from all over the world and they bring with them an entrepreneurial spirit. So these are business owners throughout South Florida. They are the entire market. We've built our country on the backs of immigrants coming and starting businesses and prospering. And so being able to speak directly to those people in their language is a huge benefit to the association. It's a huge benefit to the industry. It's a benefit to the country as a whole. So kudos to you for leading that charge.
Thank you. And I also am happy to say that last year I pioneered the first law and ethics CE class in Spanish for Miami-Dade NABIP. And we're looking to expand that to other areas where we have Hispanic populations. And, for NABIP, at least in South Florida, for NABIP to exist 5 and even 10 years from now, we need to be able to explore more bilingual options. It's not about going Spanish and forgetting about English. It's about incorporating the language because there are cultural gaps, right? How do you close them? By including people.
Meet people where they are.
Yes.
So you made a brief passing reference. A lot of our listeners are not in Florida and don't understand how heavy a lift law and ethics is in Florida. In New York, New Jersey, there's an ethics requirement. Pennsylvania's got one. Every state's got one. Usually it's 2 or 3 hours a year. And it's a pretty open format. You've got to speak directly to ethics, but it's a pretty open format. Can you talk a little bit about how Florida is different in that regard? Because it was not an easy task to go and do this in Spanish.
So yes, so it was not easy. Not only translating the entire presentation or course or CE class, right? But also you got to step back a little bit because a lot of the audience that I presented to, I was born in Central America. I was born in Nicaragua. I came here young. So for me, really, the United States is my country, right? But I also know that's not the case for everybody. And a lot of my audience, they come from countries where insurance doesn't exist. And if it does exist, there are no continuing education classes or law and ethics, right? So I had to step back even further and explain to them what that means to then teach the class and show them the value for their business so that they can be compliant and law abiding when executing their business out there.
And even just the process. Florida class, if I'm not mistaken, it's 5 hours?
4 hours.
4 hours.
Yes.
And it's got to be taught in one block. And it is
Yes.
a very rigid curriculum. They give you the course essentially.
They do.
And you have to teach it to the letter. And so it's a burden to teach that class. And so I've got a 3-hour ethics class coming up that I'm teaching, and I'm exhausted after teaching a 3-hour class. I can only imagine what it would feel like after a 4-hour class. You must have just been on the mats, done for the day.
I had no voice, and it took longer because they had so many additional questions. Since they were able to understand the material, then they had other questions, then they wanted to know more. So it turned out to be about 6 hours.
That is a day. 6 hours,
Yeah.
it doesn't seem like it. That's actually a day and a half, I believe,
Yeah.
in that environment. So what advice would you have for people starting out in our industry?
So mentorship is important. Find a mentor when working with a brokerage or a wholesaler. Get to know the people that work there. It's important. A lot of times I continue to see time after time people starting off looking for contracts because of what they're going to get paid. But we're not really, we all want to get paid, right? This is our way of living. But we at least myself and the people that I work with, I believe that we're in this industry because we really care and we want to help out, right? So we want to make sure we align ourselves with either a wholesaler or a brokerage that is on board with your vision, also your values. That's super important as well. And not so much what you're going to get paid initially, because that's going to come, right? You're going to make money and your business is going to grow if you're doing it right.
Absolutely. Right actions lead to right outcomes every time. And if you look at the dollar first and not what you're trying to accomplish in the end, most people, if they're fortunate enough to be able to look past today's meal or this week's paycheck, if they have the ability to look to what they want to build in their life or how they want to build it, it's not just about how much money I can get today. There's a
Absolutely.
lot more we can do with our time here. So if you could wave a magic wand and change anything in our industry, what would it be?
For all of us to keep an open mind, that would be great, because again, I continue to run into people who are set in their ways and they continue to believe that doing business the way we used to do them. So for example, there are brokers that you talk to about things like pet insurance and they're like, "Oh my gosh, why? That's such a waste of time. It's not paying off." Well, guess what? Gen Z and
Their
younger
pets are their
millennials,
kids.
yeah, exactly. So we have to adjust ourselves to the needs of who we serve. And I think that would be something I'd love to change.
Yeah, the world has changed and we have to change with it as it evolves. I agree with you entirely. You have to be open to what's happening. We are on a podcast. This is a format that didn't exist 20 years ago.
There you
And
go.
yet
Yeah.
here we are. So as we look at the shorter term, next year, year and a half, is there anything that you see on the horizon that you think people should be mindful of?
As far as our industry.
Yeah. Or
So,
you could go bigger if you wanted to.
well, get acquainted with artificial intelligence. Don't disregard it, be open to it. And I believe we're going to see a lot more of AI in our industry, specifically insurance and benefits. And again, in my conversations with brokers, I keep hearing, "Oh, no, that's not for me. That's for the youngins." And no, that's for everybody. It's here to stay. It's not going anywhere. And if you want to be cutting edge and really be the very best at what you do, you have to be up with times.
I wonder if accountants refused the calculator when it came out. I
No.
wasn't here for that. I know I hear stories about how expensive calculators were when they first came out, but I wonder if accountants refused calculators, because that's how I see so much of the tool as it relates to our industry is AI is a tool that we can leverage. We can be creative with it. We can brainstorm. We can get direct information. You can do all sorts of computer programming. It'll Chat GPT and other tools like that will tell you how to write certain pieces of software. And it doesn't mean that you take the human out of the loop, but if you look at it like a calculator, it's a great tool that a strong user can do. Now, the accountant with a calculator better than me with a calculator for sure. Yeah, learn how to use the AI, learn how to lean into it is going to be a big thing over the next 18 months. You and I were talking earlier about translation, and there's headphones out now that do that in real time. And what does that mean for multicultural communities and being able to talk to each other? It's going to make a huge impact really soon. So great point.
In the United States, we speak so many languages besides English and Spanish. Even in South Florida, I was asking earlier, do we have the capabilities for Creole and even Portuguese? I've been approached by brokers asking about Urdu, which is a language spoken in northern India and southern, I think, southwest Pakistan, other Asian languages that we are being asked about. So that's going to be just phenomenal.
Yeah, it's going to make a huge impact. It's going to open up all sorts of doors for people that didn't have them open before. Because to your earlier comments, when there's that reluctance to translate, there's certainly underserved communities because maybe insurance companies haven't focused on them and haven't sent resources in there. So there hasn't been competition like you would hope, or there just hasn't been that crossover to get the information in there and help people with the tools that we can help them with to improve their lives and improve their business. Well, Ruby, how can people reach you if they want to talk to you some more?
So my cell number is 904-663-4503, or by email at Ruby, Ruby, my last name Ulloa, all together, no period, no underscore, at savoyassociates.com.
and is also at every NABIP Miami meeting and all over South Florida and really all over all of Florida.
Absolutely. And I'm grateful Savoy, as my employer, supports that. And I couldn't be happier to work for a GA, a company where I'm in touch with real people.
Absolutely. We are definitely real people here. So thank you so much for coming in today, Ruby. It is a pleasure, as always, to see you. And to our listeners, thank you for joining us for Beyond the Benefits of Savoy Associates. We look forward to talking to you soon. Take care.
Thank you.